Welcome back to the Weeb Lounge. Now, when you think of bookworms, what do you think of? You think of libraries, you think of somebody wearing glasses, nerdy, sitting in their room, no friends, reading Harry Potter and or manga, like some of us, and just basically being kind of just a know-nothing life, kind of boring, engrossed into the world of books. But for Ascendance of a Bookworm, it becomes an isekai anime. Now, you might think that, something involving a bookworm would be a very slow, very boring type of anime, but in this case, while it is actually fairly slow, it is very story-driven, very character-driven, and there is some animosity there. There is a challenge to overcome. Let's get to the main character. The main character is Myne. Actually, it's not Maine, it's Myne. There was a little bit of confusion as to if it's spelt Maine, it kind of pronounced as Maine, but it's Myne, and it ends up being M-Y-N-E, so it's Myne. Not Maine, it's Myne. So, with that said, Myne is essentially this 7-year-old girl who does actually look a lot shorter and younger than even 7, but she is very sickly. And she has loving parents, a loving sister. Sister's name is Turi. And she always has these heavy fevers that can last for days and days, and she can be bedridden for weeks, incredibly sickly, incredibly fragile. And then one day, it's kind of assumed she died. But this is where Urano comes into play. Urano Mototsu. Urano Motosu. I can't pronounce names for anything, but Urano basically is on Earth. She is a normal student. She is a college student. And one day during an earthquake, working in the library or whatever, a whole bunch of books fall on her and crush her to death. Yep, that's the way she went. Earthquake and books. Okay, this girl is a total bookworm. This is where the Ascendance part comes in. One of her final wishes for when she thinks she's going to be reincarnated, or what she wants is she wants to be able to read books in her next life. Well, what ends up happening is Myne, in this fantasy world, the fever is basically over just consuming her, right? She's probably likely on the verge of death, if not brain dead as it is. So Urano basically gets her mind transported as kind of reincarnated as Myne. She gets put into Myne's body. Now, she does have all the memories that Myne had previously and such, and personalities do mix a little bit. It's not just Urano. The anime kind of throws it off as, doesn't really explain that it's all Urano who took over this character, this person or whatever. There's actually a little bit of personality meshing there. So I guess you could say that Myne, the original, didn't necessarily die, but rather merged with Urano. So, why did this happen? Who the hell knows? I mean, the reason Myne is having all these fevers and stuff is because her body is loaded with mana. She has an enormous magic ability. And uncontrolled, enormous, growing mana can kill somebody if you don't know how to manage it. And that's basically what's happening to Myne. Okay, so you got the girl from Earth merged with Myne. She is now Myne. She's not Myne, she's Myne. There's some weird names in this anime, but anyways, she basically brings all this knowledge from Earth into this fantasy realm that is basically medieval times, with this little smidge of magic dashed in here and there, and a little bit of fantasy creatures dashed in here and there. It's not overwhelming. It basically just looks like a rural, know-nothing medieval town, and you're expecting someone to like throw a tray of poop out the window or something. It's like that level of crap. I didn't intend a pun there, but anyways, let's get to some of the other main characters. First, you have Lutsu. Lutz, he's basically just another guy about the same age as Myne, probably a little older, definitely stronger and healthier, from another family that she ends up basically befriending. I guess they were family friends to begin with, but through the early course of the anime, they become basically bestest buds. And Lutz, he has this desire to become a traveling merchant. and which his family really doesn't like because he's supposed to be like a blacksmith or tailor, or some other trade. It's like a tradition thing, right? Whatever your dad is, whatever your parents are, that's who you become, and you follow that. He wants to break that tradition, become a merchant. Everybody in the family doesn't want him to do it, but eventually starts making it to that path. Traveling merchant too, and I guess traveling merchants in this little realm is somewhat dangerous, and you spend a lot of time away from your family. So the family doesn't want Lutz to go out and get killed or disappear for years on end, I guess. Anyways, he teams up with Myne, and they end up forming basically a company. I mean, Myne has all these ideas from the Earth realm. You know, like simple things like paper or hair ribbons, designer clothes, pound cake, little desserts and stuff that this world knows nothing about. So all this wealth of knowledge that Myne has is incredibly marketable, incredibly worth a lot. It's worth a ton of money, which is where Benno comes into play. Benno is a really big merchant in the area. He is the guy that can get things done, who can get things created, who has the resources to do anything. Myne ends up basically forming a team with Lutz and making deals with Benno, who then in turn sells shampoo for Myne. You know, shampoo didn't exist. Myne's like, I'm going to make some shampoo. Look at my light, long, silky blue hair. It's shiny. It's clean. It smells great. Here, you can sell it to this thing. She's basically getting rich as hell off all these ideas from Earth, right? And she needs that money. She really needs that money because of how frail she is. I mean, she can't really, you know, like run a block down the road without falling over and having going into bad fever and being bedridden for a week. I mean, she's frail as hell. Lutz is carrying her all over the damn place, right? But she needs this money because the only way for her to really survive is to somehow get rid of all that mana stuck inside of her body, which essentially means you need to find like a magic instrument or something to dump into it. The first solution that they end up coming up with, and spoilers of course, is basically this little magic ring. You put this magic ring on, it absorbs some of the mana, the ring explodes and decays or whatever, and you feel better for a while until the mana builds up again. Then you need another ring. Rings are very expensive. Hence, selling all the goods, making the deals with Benno, marketing shampoo and hair ribbons and all this other kind of crap. And of course, making paper so that she can get books, because apparently in this world, books are rare and expensive. She doesn't have access to books. She needs to make her own damn books. Or join the cult. It's the religion of the area. It's kind of a cult kind of thing. But one thing leads to another, and she ends up basically being drafted into the church. And the church, the greatest thing about the church is like one of their poses is like the crane kick from Karate Kid. Every time I see it, you just kind of giggle a little bit. It's like, okay, they're trying to be this serious church religion or whatever, and one of their ceremonial poses is the damn crane kick. It's like, oh, okay. They're definitely not taking it that serious. I mean, come on. But the church has access to all these magical items that need mana in order to operate and or just perform certain rituals. And they can absorb a lot more mana than that little tiny ring can. So what ends up happening is Myne makes a deal with the church. I mean, almost kills the head church guy, okay? Because like the head church guy was basically being a dick, was about to execute the parents for blasphemy or against the church or whatever the hell, because, you know, nobility, peasants. Nobility says, you died. Peasant, I'm dead. You know, that's kind of how it works. Myne wasn't having any of that. The man had basically flared up, took over her body. He was about to strangle the guy to death. If she learned, she could Kamehame mana burst out of her freaking eyeballs if she wanted to, if she learned how to. I think she could. She could be like, go Super Saiyan. That's pretty much what she did on this guy. She went Super Saiyan on that guy. But anyways, because of that and the enormous amount of mana she has, more than anyone that they've known, that she ends up getting kind of accepted into the church, treated as a noble, but able to leave and go back to her parents' house. All these conditions and everything that she basically negotiated and dictated along with the parents and Benno and all these other things. So essentially, she is now a nobility in the church, has her own business to the side making a crap load of money, has servants under her now, and is running an orphanage at some point and making it better, because the orphanage, god damn, that was just nasty. That was some pitiful stuff there. You have to watch it to see that. But overall, it basically becomes this girl trying to figure out a way to use her knowledge from Earth and the situations she's presented in this new world to essentially, one, prosper, and two, more importantly, survive. And, you know, the anime starts out, I think she's like 7, and then she's like 9 toward the end of the series or whatever, but she never grows or anything. The man is messing with her bad. And the one thing that nobody can truly believe, but they kind of put on a face, it seems, is the fact of how incredibly knowledgeable and smart she is. She knows about all this stuff, okay? But nobody knows how she knows this stuff. They just kind of assume she learned it somewhere or whatever. You know, they have no idea that it's knowledge brought from another world. Except Lutz. She ends up telling Lutz because Lutz starts to suspect that something isn't quite right with Myne. And at the end of the series, Ferdinand, the head priest of the church that she's at, not the head, he's like second in command. He runs that branch, I guess you could say. The top guy that Myne almost strangled to death or whatever, he went someplace else. He's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. So Ferdinand, he's a good guy. He kind of suspects what the deal is, knows she's got a lot of mana, knows she has a lot of knowledge, knows she has a lot of potential, and tries to cover her tracks, basically. He ends up being like a master servant kind of thing, or teacher pupil. It kind of both mixed, right? Master and novice mana girl lolly thing. Oh god, don't say lolly when it comes. You can't say that when it comes to this anime, because there's nothing that goes. It really ain't. It's not. Get it out of your head. It's out of mine now. But overall, this anime, it's not slice of life. Not slice of life at all. But it's kind of close. You take a slice of life and just take it out of its genre just a little bit with a little mix of fantasy and stuff, and you have Ascendance of a Bookworm. It's incredibly well written, good story, good characters, and I can't recommend it enough. And with that, like, subscribe, hit that notification button. I'm pretty sure season 2 is going to come out for this show. It continues on in the manga, novel, whatever the case may be, and I'm really hoping it comes sooner than later, because it was a show that I really enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next video.